Colonel Winnick would say at our in-person meeting, that concludes our program.
Wait till I'm president.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I can't wait. No, I didn't. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Myers. I'm the Rotary President. Welcome to Muskegon Rotary Club. We've got a bunch of guests here today, and we'll meet some of them also during the program. So good to see you all, and thank you for joining us today. I'd like to start out the meeting with a quote, and since we're coming into Memorial Day weekend, finally, and it's finally starting to feel like summer, I thought a quote about Memorial Day was appropriate. So here we go. Ceremonies are important, but our gratitude has to be more than visits to the troops and once a year Memorial Day ceremonies. We honor the dead best by treating the living well. That was said by former Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm. And with that, we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And our invocation today will be given by Bill Watts. Bill?
Let us pray. Lord of us all, bless this virtual gathering of fellow Rotarians today. Please help us to see those in need and give us the strength and wisdom to serve our community as we should. Help us to lift the burdens of others while we maintain the dignity of humankind. Soften our hearts to be sensitive and loving as we serve together as Rotarians. And as we approach the time when our Rotary Club will once again meet in person, let us be ever mindful of the lessons learned over the past 15 plus months related to our new and modified perspectives on the elements of our lives that are truly important. We thank you for granting us the resolve and resilience to continue on during this difficult period. Help us to go forward with renewed vigor as we work to seek solutions to societal problems in our continuous quest to make our world a better place in which to live. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bill. Very well said. Your career in communications still serves you well. With that, we have some guests today, and I'm going to start off. I'm going to introduce Barb Sharon. Barb is a fellow Rotarian from the Montague Whitehall Club. She's also a member of the Muskegon Community Toastmasters. And I had gotten an email from their president, Joe Lalonda. Is that right, Barb? Barb, you got to unmute.
There we go. Jerry Conrad currently is our president. Joe.
Oh, Jerry is. Oh, we know him.
Is our public relations person. So.
Gotcha. I'm happy to introduce Barb. And Barb, I don't know if you wanted to say a few words.
Okay. Yes. Well, 2 years ago in Chicago, I was at the International Toastmasters Convention, and our president, Lark Doley from Texas, announced that there would be a collaboration between Toastmasters and Rotarians, Rotary, that she and the president of the International Rotary Group had spoken, and they could see a benefit to collaborating because our organizations are very similar in many ways, not perfectly, but yours is much more community service oriented, where ours is self-improvement oriented. But there's leeway in both directions. So I was very excited about this idea, having been a Rotarian before. And so I was following that. seems that one of the things that you are offered as Rotarians at your portal, your education portal, is a lessons about better public speaking is the first approach to this collaborative. And as Toastmasters, and as a Toastmaster, I looked at this and I thought, well, that's great. It's self-taught. You learn how to write a speech, but the presentation of a speech is really best done with an audience. I wasn't the only Toastmaster thinking this, that we could do better in a collaborative by offering some sessions about public speaking, offering our skills that we've learned by giving speeches and evaluating and mentoring to Toastmasters. So this happened this past spring in the Lansing area. They offered it, I think it was 6 or 7 sessions on Zoom, of course. And each Rotarian that signed up for this, there were 10, actually there were 17 to begin with, and we felt like we could only handle 10. So 10 signed up, and I have to tell you, we had the greatest time, Toastmasters and Rotarians together, listening to their life challenges, speeches, and giving thoughtful evaluation back. The Rotarians expressed that they really enjoyed this. We were blown away with some of the Rotarians' stories. We felt like there was not a lot we had to do, just a little nudging from our years of practice in this. So stay tuned. While you do have a self-taught speaking self-improvement at your portal through Rotary, and I do too, this other where Rotary and Toastmasters together is a lot of fun. No cost to it, as long as it can be done on Zoom. It's just the amount of time, maybe an hour and a half every other week. And I really want to bring this to West Michigan. I'm very excited about this and already have at least a half a dozen Toastmasters who are willing to be mentors to Rotarians. So announcements will be coming forward, and I'll make sure it gets in your weekly newsletter when that's happening. So
Awesome.
Thank you for the time today. And it's great to visit Muskegon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barb. Thanks for joining us. And as you can tell, I could clearly use some Toastmasters training now that I'm exiting as president. So anyway, good to meet you, and thanks for joining us today. John Noling has a guest. John.
Yes, I do. Let's see. I think I have Simran Tumber from Mona Shores High School, the current president of the Rotary Interact Club. Simran, are you there?
I am there, John. Thank you.
Glad to have you with us.
Yep. So John invited me to come talk to you guys a little bit about Mona Shores and how we are doing over the pandemic, just with our struggles and our successes. So we definitely struggled a little with the pandemic, just trying to get participation and people to come to meetings. And the factor that we couldn't meet in person was difficult, but we pursued through and did Zoom meetings like every 2 weeks to deliver these messages of what service opportunities were available to us. And I'm thankful to say we just had our elections, and the people who participated the most are next year's board, which is great. We elected our new president, Kyan Bone. He's a current sophomore, and he's been helping out a lot. He is a new member, but with Anna Ivanov being his vice president, I'm sure our club will do great next year.
I just want to say, Simran, you have, kind of like our own president, Mark Myers, you have taken the bull by the horns, made that club resilient. You bounced back. You had a lot of great service projects, and your leadership is certainly appreciated by our club. And you will be one heck of a mentor for this new president next year at Mona Shores. So kudos to you and to
Thank you.
for all you've done this year in a very difficult time.
Thank you, John. And thank you everyone for listening.
Welcome, Simran. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Thanks. All right, Amy Seymour has a guest.
Good afternoon. I have the pleasure of introducing someone that I literally just met this week, and we found a lot of commonalities, and Rotary is one of them. I asked her to send me a short bio about herself that I'd like to share with you. She is currently a member, Nancy Johnson. So maybe you can wave, Nancy. She is a member of the Portage Rotary, but now resides in White Lake. So she's seeking a new Rotary home, which I thought our home would be the best here at Muskingum Rotary. She is a chaplain and a bereavement counselor for Alara Hospice and have held previous leadership roles at the American Red Cross and Kalamazoo Gospel Mission. She is also finishing her doctoral program at Portland Seminary. And last but far from not least, she says, I am the proud mom of 4 kiddos and a grandmama of 5 grand munchkins. So welcome, Nancy, and welcome to the White Lake area. And I don't know if you want to say anything, but just a pleasure to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I'm honored. Amy, so nice to meet you, and so nice to meet everyone here on Zoom. And I look forward to being a part of this community and a part of Rotary. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Nancy. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to West Michigan. Nancy Crandall has a guest.
Yes, I am happy to once again introduce Cody Chipman. He's known as Chip, who, as you recall, was an interactor at Orchard View, went to Honduras with us, is back in the community, and has begun the process of becoming a new member.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy. Thanks again for joining us, Chip. Do we have any other visiting Rotarians or guests? I know we'll meet
Jim
some of
Fisher.
them during the program, but yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I see that Donata Kidd is with us today, and Donata, I don't know if you're able to put your video on, but Donata has been approved by the board as a new member, and we're targeting June 10th for her induction. And Donata is the director of the Department of Health and Human Services. And she
Good
was on.
afternoon.
I'm not sure. Are you on, Donata?
Yes,
Yes.
good afternoon, everyone.
Great.
Hello, Donata. And yes, indeed, we are going to induct you coming up here in the next week or two.
Yes,
So
sir.
we will be in touch. I
Thank
see
you.
Annette Jack's hand go up. Nope. Anyone else want to introduce? All right. I'm not seeing or hearing any. So we're going to move on to birthdays. So got to apologize a bit. We missed some birthdays last week. Bob Skolnick, his was the 24th, and Pam Babbitt reminded us last week of that. But also Jack Briggs and Craig Parada were May 24th. Marty Seitzma is today. You going to have another parade, Marty? If anybody didn't see Facebook, he had a really cool Mardi Gras parade. You want to tell us about that? It looks like you have some balloons left over in the background there.
Yeah, we've got balloons, and I'm afraid there's going to be too many Nancys at Rotary, so I'm inviting more Martys to it. So yeah, I had my own parade. We had a Mardi Gras, and the moral of the story is I'm really gullible when it comes to surprise parties. So Heidi and a bunch of friends pulled one off on me.
Awesome. Very cool. And again, happy birthday. Young man, I can say that because I'm older than you. Jeff Fortenbacher is the 29th. Jason Piasecki on June 1st, and Dale Nesberry on June 2nd. So happy birthday, everyone. And also want to remind you, our Caring Connection Fund continues. So you can donate your $10 birthday gift, if you will, to the fund. And there's a link in the rim where you can send your money.
Mark,
Announcements today.
Mark, quick
Jim?
point. Regarding birthdays, it's quite possible that I may not be present next week. So in advance, we're a week away from my mother, Fran Fisher's 100th birthday next Thursday.
Ah, yes. Wonderful. That's awesome. Applause. You can all applaud. We can't hear it, but you can. Very cool, Jim. Enjoy. That's going to be fun. All right. Announcements. Rewind does not meet today, but they'll meet next week at Wonderland Distillery. They meet first and third Thursdays. I've got a couple announcements. Seaway Run is coming up. It's going to be in person. We've got about, help me out, Jason, 550 registered, I think, or is it 750?
One of those numbers is right.
I think it's closer to 750, but I want to encourage Rotarians to sign up. And if you are not a runner, that's okay, because there is also a 5K walk. So be sure to Google Seaway Run, and it's very easy to sign up. Also, I had a reminder from the Rotary Foundation that if you are considering giving this year, they're on a June or a July 1 fiscal year. So they're encouraging everyone to give before June 30. And you can find them on the internet as well. Iron Bozart, you've got a brief report on our food trucks.
Hey, good morning, President Mark and all, or afternoon, I guess. I do want to share with you that we completed another successful food truck event yesterday at Temple Methodist Church in Muskegon Heights. We had 14 loyal, hardworking volunteers from Rotary, significant others, a couple of out-of-town visitors on hand to help us distribute 8,000 pounds of fresh food that was brought in by Feeding America. It was a really successful event, great weather. We had a lot of nice interaction between Rotary volunteers and recipients coming through. There was a lot of good chatter. Some follow-up actually from recipients who are going to help us do some outreach with the upcoming truck up in Whitehall. So it was a nice event, and close to 100 vehicles came through, many of which pick up food for multiple households. So a lot of good food distribution took place yesterday. I want to mention that next week, Saturday, June 5, there will be a food truck, again, sponsored by Muskegon Rotary, underwritten by Muskegon Rotary, I should say. And we'll do that one in partnership with the Whitehall Montague Club. So I'd like to see about 4 or 5 Muskegon volunteers, but hoping that the bulk of the volunteer crew will come from the Whitehall Montague Club. I'm in touch with them and sent some emails out on that subject this morning. We've had a little difficulty getting good turnout up at Whitehall, at the Whitehall location, by the way, which is at White Lake Congregational United Church of Christ. It's located on 1809 Mears. And that's a Saturday morning distribution. Food distribution begins at 10 a.m. Volunteers ask to arrive between 9 and 9:15 to help with the setup. And if anyone's interested in helping out with that or has questions, shoot me a message in the chat or send me an email at your convenience. The next Muskegon food truck that we will sport and underwrite is July 27, back at Temple Methodist Church in Muskegon Heights. So good work, all Rotarians. Thanks everyone who helped out yesterday. And these are pretty successful events, and I think we get a lot of good visibility in the community for the Rotary effort. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron, for the report. Appreciate what you do for that program. And thanks to all the volunteers that help distribute that
I think
food.
you'll see some pictures in the next room as well.
Yes, you bet. All right. Any other reports that I missed? All right. Hearing none, I see that Kathy Moore is with us. Kathy, do you have a COVID-19 update for us?
Yes, I do, Mark. And I have a very brief update. I have the slides. Kim is going to put that up. I am not able to participate in the 1 o'clock, but I'm hoping that Christine Robert and Julia Rupp could maybe do it if they're on. Julia is a deputized health officer, and so she can answer questions and make health officer decisions.
Okay.
But if we just start with the brief update here, our Muskegon County cases continue to trend downward, and that is absolutely positive. The same with our state as well as our nation. We are trailing behind our contiguous counties, and a lot of that is a backlog, but we are gradually getting there. Next. Next, okay. This is a brief summary. We are currently at 11.5% positivity rate. Last week this time was 12.9, and 2 weeks ago, 18%. So we continue to go downward. The daily number of cases, the last week and 2 weeks ago, that's not the right number, so please ignore that. But we're averaging 29.1 per day. Last week it was around 44. And the week before that, it was in the 60s. The daily cases per 100 residents, 16.8. And if you look at the charts on the bottom, these are our metrics compared to our contiguous counties. Next. This is just a graph I put in, I received from our epidemiologist. We have received or recorded a total of 109 or confirmed 109 vaccine breakthrough cases. These cases are just saying that these individuals received the vaccine and later was confirmed positive COVID-19. Again, just a reminder, just like the flu vaccine, it doesn't necessarily say you're not going to get it, but it does say that reduce your chances of severity and fatality. Even though this does show that 3 of those breakthrough cases resulted in death. Next. This is a update of the vaccine coverage here in Muskegon County as of 3 days ago. 53.6% of Muskegon County residents aged 16 and older received the initial dose. The chart at the bottom shows the percentages by age group, with the ages 65 to 74 at the highest percentage. The age groups 50 to 64 continuing to trickle upward, even though that has slowed quite a bit. And the little box or numbers to the very right bottom are for ages 12 through 15, which is not reflected in these other charts. Of the 9,053 per our census residents aged 12 to 15, 1,314 has received at least their first dose. We don't have anyone on record that have received the second dose, but the timing is not here just yet. Next. The hospitalizations, again, just like our COVID numbers, continue to trickle downward, and we are now in a very comfortable place as far as hospitalizations and hospital capacity to manage those cases. Next. And this is the total deaths to date. The chart at the top shows per month, and so we did record an additional 4 deaths probably since the last time I reported to you guys. And then the chart at the bottom shows the number of deaths by age group. And it does follow, the age group and comorbidities. Next. Oh, and that's it. Any quick questions?
Yeah, we can field a couple questions. Christine is not with us today. So, and then Julia
Oh,
just
okay.
put in the chat that she won't be able to participate in the breakout. So we
Okay.
won't have a breakout. So do we have any quick questions? Annette?
Not a question, but just kudos to Kathy and her staff. Our church, when Kathy announced last week that if any group or organization or business wanted to have a vaccine clinic, to let them know, and she said we would need 5 or more at least. And they put one together for us within like 3 days or less. It was amazing. It would be nice to give them more time than that. But, and I actually told our group we needed 10 or more, and there were 20 some people that came through. And so it was, I felt it was well worth it, but it was so easy to work with Kathy and her group. The communication was great. They really handled things well and told us exactly what we needed to provide. So if anybody else out there is thinking about it, please go ahead.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's going to be our strategy. Thank you very much, Annette, and we really appreciate it. Please extend our gratitude to your pastor as well. That's going to be our strategy moving forward. People are not seeking the clinic, and so we have to go where those naturally forming groups are.
Awesome. Any other quick questions?
Yes, Larry, Five. The website heat map, for Muskegon, part of Northern Shores, Muskegon Heights, it's red. Is it trending off of red, or what is it going to take to have that color change?
We'd have to look at an update to that. Those are cases, and it's cases based on population, and it doesn't go back and adjust for those people who are recovered. I just communicated with the state today. They are providing, they're going to provide in the very near future the addresses, or sort of a heat map of those percentages vaccinated by census tract. But we're just not that sophisticated with that data and displaying that data right now. But we are going to work on improving that.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to move on. Again, thanks, Kathy, so much. We appreciate your reports.
Thank you.
On a
Yeah.
personal note, my
All right.
16-year-old gets her second shot tonight. But my 15-year-old is waiting to see
Awesome.
if she turns into a zombie before she'll commit to the first shot. So we'll see how that goes. But again, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kathy.
Yes.
All right. So Christine, unfortunately, is not with us, but she'll catch up with us next week. And that brings us to our program. So I would like to introduce Belinda Barnier. And Belinda, you're going to kick us off.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Rotarians. My name's Belinda Barbier. I am the co-chair of the 2021 Law Day. I've been doing Law Day for quite a few years. My other co-chair, V. Boringa, is actually here from the prosecutor's office, and we've been exchanging some text messages. I think we need to invite her to Rotary, that she needs to show up more often. Our other committee members are Kristen Gilmore and Samantha Jonas from the prosecutor's office, Tom Hinken from the MAISD, who is here today, and of course our very own John Noling. Now, as you all know, last year, the Law Day Committee had to make a very difficult decision, and we had to cancel Law Day. So with everything going on for 2021, we wanted to move forward. We didn't know what it was going to look like, but we wanted to move forward. And so we did. And our prompt for Law Day theme was advancing the rule of law now. The rule of law is the bedrock of American rights and liberties in times of calm and unrest alike. The 2021 Law Day theme, Advancing the Rule of Law Now, reminds all of us that we, the people, share the responsibility to promote the rule of law, defend liberty, and pursue justice. So with support from both the Muskegon and the Montague Whitehall Rotaries, as well as the MAISD and the Muskegon Bar, we were able to move forward with Law Day and provide some awards and scholarships. Now, while we did not hold an art competition for the elementary students, and we did not go forward with the Frank Scott Probation Parole Award or the Liberty Bell Award, we did have some very intelligent, talented students who took part in both the essay and the speech contests. Now, the essay winners are all from Whitehall. They are from Mrs. Bobby Friend's 6th grade class, and I will read them in from first place down to 5th place. First place being Lily Britton, 2nd place Claire Westerlin, 3rd place Marie DeRose, 4th place Remington Wepley, and 5th place was Isla Dickman. So before I get to the real stars on all of this, which are the speech winners, I'd like to introduce the winner of our Golden Apple Award. Now, the Golden Apple Award is given to a teacher who furthers the understanding of students as to the role of our legal profession, helps the students recognize their duties and their rights, and encourages effective law-related education programs in their school. There was absolutely no discussion, no second choice. We were all very positive who we wanted as our Golden Apple Award. Mr. John Nolan, could you do those honors?
Thank you, Belinda. I had the chance to visit Jesse Thompson's classroom at Whitehall High School on more than one occasion, and I can assure my fellow club members that Jesse represents the epitome of teaching professionalism. To combine civic education and literacy in the manner that he does is just off the charts. And I had a chance to interview Jesse about how he got this mindset to be able to weave so many disciplines together and get his students active in the thought process of debating and forensics while teaching them about grammar and everything else along the way, plus research into civic issues that impact all of us. And Jesse went to EMU and had a mentor teacher there. And Jesse, first of all, I want to congratulate you on behalf of our entire Rotary Club, but a teacher you had at EMU was helped you in a defining moment in your life. Could you just tell us how this coach impacted you when you were a junior and a senior in debate and forensics?
Yeah, first off, John, and to the rest of the Rotarians, thank you very much for consideration. It's extremely humbling. And I was just excited that Law Day was back this year because it's something my students always look forward to. And we were just really, really happy to be able to participate in such a great experience for everyone. And to answer John's question, when I was at Eastern, I had a mentor named Ray Queel, who asked me if I would be willing to consider joining their debate and forensics team, which is competitive public speaking. Quick little shout out to Eastern. It is one of the very few programs that has never finished outside of the top 10 in any national competition, I think dating back to 1976. So Ray knew what he was talking about in terms of debate and public speaking. And the opportunity to participate in that absolutely changed my life. I fell in love with the competitions. I fell in love with the research. I fell in love with the commitment and the requirements. And that was kind of the turning point where I absolutely knew I wanted to be not only a teacher, but do something with competitive speaking and debate. And Law Day gives us an opportunity to do that both in our classroom, but then the big question students always ask is, well, how does this apply to real life? And for the last several years, we've been participating in Law Day. It's the most, how does this apply to real life answer I can give them? Because they get to go and stand in front of people that are making these decisions on how the world around them is shaped and formed and share their own ideas. So there's, in my opinion, not a better experience for them, which has just been a continuation of the opportunity Professor Queel allotted to me several years ago. So again, thank you all very much. And most importantly, thank you for the opportunity you continue to give to our students. It's such a wonderful thing to be able to go and watch them present.
Thank you, Jesse, very much. Congratulations.
We can give a little applause, silent applause as it may be, to Mr. Thompson and the hard work he did, because without him, a lot of these essay or speech winners would not be where they are today. Now, our judges for the speech contest, we went with a judicial theme. So we had the Honorable Timothy Hicks, the Honorable Annette Smedley, the Honorable Judge Kostrava, and then we had our very own prosecutor, DJ Hilson. Mr. Hilson, did you want to say a couple words about how the speeches were this year?
Thanks, Belinda, and good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Always a pleasure to be with you. This by far is my favorite day every year. I've been a judge of the speech contest now for, I don't know how many, 6, 7 years. And every year just seems to get better and better. I guess the bright silver lining of all this is that, certainly public speaking and public speaking in general isn't a dead art, that it's still alive and well in a lot of our schools. And it was pretty evident from our speech contestants this year that will go on for a long time. And thank goodness that our young generation can take their faces out of tablets and cell phones and video games and actually stand in front of people and deliver a solid argument. And there were a lot of solid arguments during this competition. So it's like I said, it's my favorite time, my favorite day. And it was just great to be around a lot of that energy, in particular, given the topic today. So you guys are going to be very impressed with the speech winners this year.
Thank you, Mr. Hilson. Judge Smedley, would you like to say a couple words?
Thank you, and good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Like DJ said, this was an amazing experience. This is the first time I was a judge for this competition, and listening to these students, we had one that used absolutely no notes and spoke and moved throughout the room, didn't use the podium, and just the level of the speeches that we had, and we listened to all of these young men and women on how their experience and what they thought this topic meant to them. It was just something that I haven't seen before. And if this is the kind of people that we have coming up in our community that is going to help run it, we are lucky as a community to have these young people. And as DJ said, you guys are going to be amazed at some of the speeches these young people came up with. So I thank you for allowing me to be part of this, and I hope that I can continue to do this and ask to do this again. So thank you.
Thank you, Judge Smedley. Now, the prompt for the speech contest and the essay contest was this question: we, the people, share the responsibility to promote the rule of law, defend liberty, and pursue justice. Considering the events of the last year, give examples which show that the rule of law is being advanced, liberty defended, and justice pursued. Now, our winners, of which you will be watching in just a moment, were Mackenzie Covington for the 9th through 11th speech contest, second place from Orchard View. She is both a Life Leadership Conference attendee as well as an interactor. Lucas Saad was first place for the 9th through 11th from Calvary Christian, and he is a Life Leadership Conference attendee. Our first place for the seniors was Shelby Knoll from Whitehall High School. So due to time constraints, we will now see just the introduction and conclusion of these 3 speeches.
The history of the rule of law has been nothing short of a roller coaster in the United States. By the definition of worldjustice.org, The rule of law can be broken down into 4 parts. The government and private entities are held accountable for the law. The laws are clear, publicized, and evenly applied. The law process is accessible and open. And finally, justice is delivered in a timely manner by competent ethical individuals. The concept of the rule of law has been abused time after time, with members of the legislative branch letting their own implicit biases overrule the rule of law. The United States currently operates in a caste system with rich white men at the top, and anyone who is not at the top is not receiving the full benefits of the rule of law. But white supremacy is embedded in every fiber of our day-to-day lives. There is no amount of reform that can be implemented to fix a system that was designed to oppress people of color. You wouldn't renovate a house that has a bad foundation, so we need to rebuild from the ground up. The recent ruling in the Chauvin case is a flicker of light at the end of a very long tunnel, but the guilty ruling does not mean our work is done. The only reason we have reached this point is because a brave Black girl named Darnella Frazier recorded the incident, despite threats from cops on the scene. So the question lies in what we do next and how we proceed. Racism is systemic. It touches every single system in which we operate. It is not going to be a quick fix. There's not one book everyone can read to cure systematic racism. But every single person has a duty to help create a better tomorrow for the next generation. So it begins with education. It begins with reading books, examining policy, and listening to voices from marginalized communities. And after the people are educated, they must vote. Politicians must be held accountable to the promises they win votes on, and we must demand transparency and accountability from those we elect. A quote by Barack Obama states that one of the challenges of a democratic government is making sure that even in the midst of emergencies and passions, we make sure that the rule of law and the basic precept of justice and liberty prevail.
I firmly believe in the rule of law as a foundation for all our basic rights. This quote by Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor echoes what our founding fathers held true, that law should govern a nation, not individuals. The rule of law was a basic concern in the creation of the Constitution, and it still prevails in the United States today. The rule of law is the basis for development of a fair, peaceful, and thriving society. Even during the current pandemic, the rule of law was sustained. The Michigan Supreme Court ruled that Governor Whitmer's use of the 1945 Emergency Powers of the Government Act unconstitutionally usurped the legislative powers of the state's government. Therefore, they ensured that the governor would need to include the legislative branch in her further orders regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Another illustration of the rule of law's dominance is demonstrated in the case of Curtis Flowers. Curtis Flowers is an African-American man who was released on September 4th, 2020, after 23 years of imprisonment. He was originally tried for the murder of 4 people in Winona, Missouri, in July of 1996. But in June of 2019, the United States Supreme Court reversed Flowers' conviction, finding that the district attorney prosecuting him had discriminated against Black prospective jurors at his trial. This action by the United States Supreme Court saved Flowers from the death sentence. At the dawn of this great nation, our founding fathers believed that the rule of law would be instrumental to our justice system. The importance of the rule of law has been implemented in a presidential election, in a controversy over emergency gubernatorial authority, and in criminal prosecution, including racial discrimination and jury selection. The gravity of the rule of law has not been lost on the American Bar Association. They created the Rule of Law Initiative to promote justice and human dignity domestically and in 100 other countries. As Barack Obama said, one of the challenges of a democratic government is making sure that even in the midst of emergencies and passions, we make sure that the rule of law and the basic precepts of justice and liberty prevail.
The rule of law can simply be described as justice and liberty for all. The rule of law allows citizens the agreement necessary for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We as citizens need to know the difference between swearing an oath to America versus the Constitution. Our Constitution is the framework that allows people to have a voice and enact the rule of law. In essence, allegiance to the rule of law supersedes allegiance to the government or even the country it serves. Our courthouses and city halls are for the people. They exist to emerge and resolve disputes between people and entities. It is also there so that the public has a voice and right to air grievances. Laws are public and protect our inalienable right. It is our job to stand up for our beliefs and to make change happen when we see fit. With the 19th Amendment, women were guaranteed the right to vote. Although in many areas of policy and standing, women are still being treated as less than equal. Madam Vice President Harris says it best. I want young women and girls to know that you are powerful and your voice matters. You're going to walk into many rooms in your life and career where you may be the only one who looks like you, who has the same experiences you've had. As a proud female student, I want to see women fight until paid maternity leave is a protected right, until equal pay for equal work is a reality, until local school boards rescind all antiquated and sexist dress code policies, until women don't have to be afraid to walk alone, until the list goes on. And because of the rule of law, we will prevail. As United citizens, we utilize freedom to make change happen, which keeps our nation moving in the right direction. Citizenship shows your pride for America, and it is something that should never be assumed as a right, rather a privilege. In the past year, we have faced challenges that have never been seen before. With the combined efforts of individuals, citizens can make a lasting impact that will serve as a guideline for the future. We are making history with our response to the pandemic, and future generations will determine if it is a failure or a success. Through the rule of law, we have the power to ensure the latter in the name of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
I think you can understand why those were the winners. I would like to give a shout out to DJ and John Van Wyck for hosting Luke and Shelby on Talk Muskegon, WKBZ Radio. My understanding is they really enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or we'll try, if we have time, Mr. Myers, to take a couple of them. In the meantime, I would like to introduce my co-chair, V. Boringa. V, do you have a couple words? Because you were there for the speech and helped run it that day.
I'll keep this quick. I'm still as moved as I was the day that all the kids gave their speeches at the Law Day contest. As you guys can hear, they're phenomenal. And the fact that these kids came into a courthouse, came into courtroom and gave their speeches to judges and as well as DJ is amazing. And I told them that they should be so proud of themselves. They are very moving. And I think that we have a lot to look forward to in the future for these kids. So I just want to thank them again. And I also want to thank our law chair committee as well as our judges. And I would also like to thank Jesse Thompson once again. I know that all these kids could not have done what they did without having great teachers supporting them. So I want to just say thank you to everybody.
Thank you, V. Okay, it's my understanding Shelby is here.
I am, yes.
Wonderful. Shelby, one of the questions that came in is what motivated you to enter the contest and what are your plans after graduation?
Okay, well, I first want to say thank you all for having me today. It's been a cool experience. My motivation actually came from Mr. Thompson. I've always been interested in debate, and he said, well, we have a law day. And so I said, okay, I'll try it. I was originally planning to attend last year, but sadly that was canceled, which was a real bummer. But this year coming back and getting to be in a real courthouse, that was a once in a lifetime experience. And I could not be more grateful for that. So that was amazing. And then I am planning on attending Montana State University next fall on a provost scholarship. And then I'm either studying pre-med or pre-law with a minor in psychology.
Wonderful. Can you tell us what was your biggest takeaway from participating in Law Day this year?
Yes, I believe my biggest takeaway was probably that your voice matters and it's important to share it. One of the things that I love about the rule of law is it's up to the people. And that's a lot of what I talked about in my speech. So having a voice, especially giving it in a speech, it kind of brought it home for me just because I was able to see the effect that it had on other people as well as myself, just learning about the topic and being able to take away what I learned and give other people that same knowledge, because it opens up all these new conversations that you can be having about all these different topics.
What was your favorite part of Law Day?
I really liked being in the courthouses. It was very intimidating at first, but the judges and the prosecutor were the nicest people you could meet, and they were open to questions, and that being able to ask professionals questions was the best experience I could ask for.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Shelby's the only one here, so she gets the brunt of the questions. Our other two students couldn't get away, being end of the school year and everything they've got going on. Shelby, could you tell us a little bit about your radio interview?
Yes, that was a very new experience to me. It was very much like a conversation setup, which was interesting because Luke was also there, and we were able to basically just talk about what the rule of law means to us and to show our experiences, which that was very cool and a good takeaway. It also introduced us again to Mr. Hilson, and that was a cool experience because then we were able to kind of get a deeper understanding of what the rule of law means to him, and that outlook kind of didn't change our perspective but added to our perspective.
Perfect. Okay, do we have any other questions? Oh, question, Shelby. What did you do to prepare for your speech?
So I am in theater, so I have a lot of different things that I go through for speeches, but I like to prepare in the mirror. And then I also prepared by saying my speeches to all of Mr. Thompson's classes. So shout out to him for letting me interrupt his classes every day.
That's fantastic. What type of research did you do?
A little bit from all different types of perspectives. I first started out with looking at the broader picture of just what is the rule of law. And then I narrowed it down and I found out that I did want to talk about women's rights and how the rule of law has kind of been changed throughout our history. And so that is kind of what I focused on. And then I went into individual cases. I did the Board of Education case and just different, like the 19th Amendment and things like that, which were then kind of put into other people's thoughts and processes, which are mine, Mr. Thompson's, different people from that I could find interviews from the internet and all those different types of things.
Would you recommend this to other students to participate in this?
Definitely. It's, even if you don't win or you don't get any scholarships or anything, those are just the benefits. The actual in-person, being able to share your opinion and have those conversations are the experiences that you're going to remember for a lifetime. It also changes your perspective on just citizenship in general. Law Day is one thing that introduces you to a bunch of different people and gives you those connections to further your purpose and to further your education.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions, or should, I know Shelby's taking some time away from school right now for this, so.
Congratulations, Shelby, again.
Thank you so much.
All right. I think we'll wrap with that. So first, a big round of applause to the students, but also to the leadership. So Belinda Barbier, thank you so much for facilitating the program today. You did an awesome job. To Mackenzie, Luke, and Shelby. Shelby, thanks for joining us. But congrats and kudos. Your futures look bright. I can certainly tell. I want to thank Jesse and Tom as well, and V, thank you. And then to our Rotarians, DJ and Judge Smedley, thanks so much for being involved in this important program. Just awesome work, and really appreciate it. So moving on to our program next week, we're going to hear about the MSU Extension and the 4-H program. I want to thank our guests for joining us today, Barb, Simran, Nancy, Chip, and Donata. Also want to say have a great and safe Memorial Day weekend, everybody. And before we leave, we're going to say the 4-way test. So please unmute and join me. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth?
It's the truth.
Is it
Is it
fair to all
concerned? Will it
Will it
build
build
goodwill
and better
better friendships?
And will it be
Will it be
beneficial
to all
concerned?
concerned?
All right, and with that, we are adjourned. Have a
President
great
Mark
week,
for another
everybody.
4
Hope to
weeks.
see you next week.